Hey guys, Boris here, bringing you another VOD review. Worlds are just few days away, and as such, most players have opted to practice off-stream as to not leak any of the advantages they have managed to accumulate. However, if there is a player that we can always rely upon, that is Mr. Robinsongz here, therefore let's jump in game with him. Now, this is a game played after the scrim block on the NA ladder, as he did not particularly play any interesting games, but still managed to do quite decently. And we are jumping in game here in a Ryze encounter, and we do get a Piltover, Invoker, and a Longshot emblem. And these all three in a way can synergize if we opt to go for perhaps a 6 Piltover route. Now we have the Shen pair with a Yasuo, and we also have a Jhin in the shop, who could be potentially considering, although in a normal case, the Ionia line, but we do get dropped a Y, which is great for us. We have a JG as well. Could definitely be unlocking an Orianna here, and we already gonna check already our first Piltover module. Unfortunately, do not get Blast Shield on Continuum Cogs. Now, reminiscent of the t-hex dominant meta, Electrical Overload would be if we went for something like that to go for the burst. Otherwise, EMP is more general choice, and with a raw drop, we might not want to lock ourselves right into this, playing exactly for a t-hex, and also it has been nerfed quite a few times. And overclock capacitors would be more for something like the long shot line if we wanted to play into that. This is being played before the B patch, therefore I would lean towards EMP as it's the most general choice, and quite a few caster comps are still being played. I don't think we have scouted the lobby to see what the others might be playing, but this is just a generally decent choice. Going to Slam to unlock the Orianna for ourselves. And going to hold on to this, yeah, we picked up the Xin Zhao, as that was that compare with the Laurel's potential Loris high roll. Not going to be taking solo leveling. That was the augment we snap rerolled there, as we do not have a unit to play around something like a Rek'Sai or a Briar 2. And with a Rageblade Slam it could be potential, but you would want some form of a durability item to keep that unit alive. Worth the wait could lead us astray, since we already have a pretty much locked direction with the Ryze encounter, therefore replication seems to be the most natural choice at this point. Trials of Twilight, obviously not going to be playing into that with these emblems, and do not have a slam. And the augment has fallen out of favor due to its lack in tempo. High voltage is just a, since we have this JG and like half of Nashers, could be potentially considering that as a better, simply more immediate power right away. And replication having the delayed value. Preparation would be more into 1-cost reroll, which is not in the game at the moment. Going to lock ourselves into some form of a potential AP line here. Going to also level aggressively, since we have this item augment and have an immediate slam we can make. Now, our front line is a little bit fragile, with the Y being obviously a fighter. But hopefully with this Invoker emblem we are able to pick up, have a sufficient amount of DPS to be able to pick up a few wins. Do get a Poppy paired offer to us, but we do not have any form of a Juggernaut unit to be holding on to. Now it's crucial for us to secure these wins now that this is one of the things. No, we see a player with a Zone Gunslinger. Yeah, this Ryze encounter, I've never liked it, as you just have these kind of spots, but we have at least a clear direction that we can play into. And yeah, since we had leveled here, it was crucial for us to be winning these rounds. It was managed to secure a 2 streak here, going to hold on to the strongest board, potentially maybe perhaps in a great choice be able to secure a 5 streak. Just going to go over quickly these extra Piltover modules. Acceleration Gate is the best one if you're playing into an AP line around a Seraphine, most likely with these items. Otherwise, Kinetic Barrier is decent for when you have your Loris frontline. But if you are playing around these Wardens, Braum does not really shield, therefore it loses some value. Obviously, oh god, we have to mention that this is a Piltover unit exclusive module. However, we have this Piltover omelet we could potentially transition onto. Some of the frontliners just gives general HP. And Genogamification Ray is also, it's okay choice, but Acceleration Gate is simply the best one you can hit for playing in an AP line. So going to take that. And going to go immediately into the 6 Piltover, trying to capitalize on this Orianna that we have, also enables us to make 10 and while still holding onto a potential Poppy pair. Queue with a player with an Orianna 2, now that's going to have the sufficient amount of DPS to break through our fragile frontline. Unfortunately, we're going to lose our streak. still a little bit surprised about the play to aggressively level there on the stage 2-1, as generally in this current meta you still do not want to, you have to think twice about leveling on 2-1, as it can put you in quite interesting econ situations, so to say the least, especially without an econ augment. But Robin seems to value the tempo. We can play off of our emblems, and we are going to level again. Just try, with this AP comp. Now the key is that, first of all, we have the item augment, therefore we're going to capitalize on the extra items we have right now. And it is known that we will, if we are playing into leaning into 6 Piltover, we'll want to probably be sacking with something like a mining drill if we're able to high roll that. And sack some HP in order to accumulate a T-con. Otherwise, if you're playing into more standard Lissandra Seraphine line, that's another line that's going to wants to be played off a tempo spot in order to then hopefully cap around something like maybe a Ryze 2 or any other form of a higher cap board. But generally, since it's a true 4-cost board, it's going to start losing rounds unless you're able to navigate into some form of a 5-cost. Managed to hit a Lux, but unless we have this Nico, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to slot that in. And another reason why we might want to be playing around the Seraphine is that this Invoker emblem is very strong on the Seraphine. Since she spam cash, she's able to get that stacking power from it. We are managed to pick up the 2 rounds with the level there, so that's quite fortunate for us. Perhaps I did not really see him scouting these matchups, but I mean, this is Robin after the scrims block. He's going to go for entertaining plays if he can, and does not mind risking some of his LP in the process either. Pick up a Loris here, and we would probably have to, since we have that Nashers, we could go for a double Nashers and just transition this Longshot emblem off. That would probably be the most, say, easiest thing to do. As t-hex, well, would be a frontline item to consider, and something potentially we can transition on the t-hex, making the t-hex a little bit of a bruiser. But instead is going to go for immediate power, as we do want to, we have leveled aggressively, we want to leverage that aggressive plays into trying to go for wins, especially again with a item augment that we have offered, that we have picked up. Coming up on this selection here, care package seems immediate, clear winner for ourselves, can give us dupes, and if we find a single Orion, it can dupe an Oriana too. Otherwise it's an econ augment, and we did not have an econ augment. We are playing for a board that wants to go to level 9. Arcane Victory would just be a little bit of a weaker combat augment. It's quite alright at the moment, as the combat pacing has slowed down. Spear's Will would be if you're definitely locked into a t-hex line, but we already have an open sword, and this open tier would have to transition into some form of a frontline item, and we do not have the option to slam right away, since we have already made a triple item, essentially, Oriana. If we picked up an item augment here, we would want to be using it for immediate value. Otherwise, leaning econ here is quite good, and care package has been not all good. Seraphim Staff is a good AP item augment. However, we again have a 3-item Oriana. We're not looking exactly for a secondary AP carry at the moment. I know your enemy is okay. However, care package just seems to has the general upside of having a higher cap. I'm going to get another sword from it. So just going to slam the Deadblade that can be transitioned, which seems to be now a t-hex plan for sure, if you have made these AD items. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how you would not be navigating this line otherwise. You would have to go for a t-hex, and then you have a Senna duo carry with the gunslingers there. Not going to, most likely, otherwise, Volibear, potential? I'm not sure if we're going to end up in that route. Since we seem to be going for fun plays, this has to be a t-hex line, right? Going there, mapping in that t-hex. The Freljord t-hex is a comp that definitely can be played, especially if you find the Freljord emblem. It popped up a little bit in the PB and in the earlier set days before the 6 Piltover t-hex completely took it. Again, queuing to this extremely strong player that's already level 7, has picked up has probably used their heroic grab bag in order to tempo out another unit, and just going to leverage the streak to make up their econ. At the moment, we're probably looking for another potential frontline item. The belt seems quite appealing here for me, and Robinsongz agrees, going to grab that belt in a Sejuani pair as well. high roll the Seraphine so we can level up now immediately on 3-5, and now we have offered the mining drill. Echo Engine is just generally weaker, as some of your units might have even cast by that point, and Superior Lifeform, I honestly do not even recall what this is. Summon a copy of your two, okay, right, superior copies. No, since it's already out of my memory, I can say that it's not one of the better ones that you would be looking for. I mean, at this point especially, would be providing, we would be getting a Caitlyn copy, or a Rumble copy, I guess, and a Seraphine. It just simply says delayed value, and since we hit this mining drill so early in the game, we can capitalize on an more enormous amount of econ. Now, we are not on the highest of the HPs, therefore we're probably looking to stabilize a little bit on the coming on level 8. Going to level still aggressively here to 7, trying to preserve some HP, not going to value the force streak that much, it's only a single gold. Now that we have slammed, unfortunately we're going to have a guaranteed graves in our next shop, but that's fine, we have found a Seraphine already. And we're simply just trying to make the strongest board, trying to preserve as much as HP as we can possibly can in order for us to make it to level 9, as that's where we're going to obviously 2-star our T-hex. Into a, yeah, so as mentioned, this was before the B patch. We see the Kai'Sa players right there and the veins flooding in. Thanks Riot for the B patch. It's going to be saving worlds. Maybe should not have nerfed the AD Kai'Sa, leaving her still as an valuable option, but they want to be safe, and we're in for a very interesting patch to be played on. Do a bit of double cloak and another belt for us to pick up ourselves. We have the glove that we would ideally want to find another sword, and probably a Visage. Yeah, so if I had a Fast Johnny to use Visage Declaw, seems quite good. I assume he has noted that the lobby is leading quite a lot of AD, so I'm not sure how much this Declaw is going to make, but going to not wanting to use our Reforge. We have 3 Reforges, so we could have potentially used 1 before now to see if we can get a better components, but just going to save them on for later on in the hopes of trying to make the better of the boards. At the moment, explosive growth, we already have this mining drill, therefore, and we have the care package in form of an econ augment. We're probably looking for big grab bag here would be the most appealing option for me. Helps us sort out another secondary carry right away. Otherwise, healing orbs is generally better in something where you want a funnel, or in something like melee comps. We are getting that value. We do not have a IE slammed yet, so Mace's Will is not that appealing for ourselves. Tons of stats are just a generic combat augment, but we're just going to go with the heroic grab bag, helping us sort a secondary carry online. And we do get an option to draw for an IE. Also, roll down found a Lysandra and a Braum, so going to transition into this Freljord core. Also getting a Lysandra in as a potential secondary carry for now, as we are carrying this Caitlyn one at the moment. Did not find in any. Did not really have an option for another AD potential carry. I do not see how we could slot in something else on this board at this moment, but we have the t-hex coming in right here, so we're able to just drop the Orianna since we have that Invoker emblem of our own, and we get a t-hex here, going to just feed us pretty much useless Caitlyn at this point. Now, how do we slot in this Invoker emblem now? Generally, this is something that you would obviously be tossing on a Seraphine, but since we have the 3-item Seraphine and simply transitioning a single Nashor's off the Sounder is not going to be that much of a value, so it's going to slam it on the front line right now. Use it as an item. And we should be quite stable with the Seraphine 2 that we managed to find quite quickly. We have a lot of upfront power, and the Sejuani 2 is still going to be a useful tank into this stage 3. And thankfully we queued into a little bit weaker players, so we're in a spot where we can potentially sack to go to another level. Now we picked up a spatula, I believe, here. Now we have this Reforgers, we have 4 of them, so we could potentially transition into the Reforgers into something else. Also, oh yeah, it was on the Senna, so we guarantee ourselves also a Senna for our level 9 already. Ideally, in this spot, we'll probably be sacking, so I would assume that was the ideal plan, was to just simply secure a Senna, as we are not even that rich at the moment, despite how early we hit our mining drill. we would just be barely making it to level 9 at the moment, so we're going to be having a couple of rounds, and we're going to be dropping quite low, so we have to go for a potential win out by probably even perhaps. Let's see how fast Ankh is. Is he able to do the roll down in a single turn on 5-1, or is he going to be playing it safe, keeping the world's mentality of leveling on 4-7? Just going to dupe out the Lourdes too, again, trying to preserve as much as HP as we're going into this AD matchup again against the Demacia, so should be quite troublesome for us. Just getting through this Garen is a little bit of worry. We do not have the utility sorted out apart from this anti-heal, so getting through the Demacia's resist is going to be quite hard for ourselves at the moment. So he's going to believe in his APM right here. Let's see how well Robinsongz has popped up. We're on the 3 HP on a single life. Also still have to figure out how we're going to do with the spatula, and have to have a clear idea of this component. Most likely going to be a last whisper here, what I would imagine, to just synergize with that. Going to go level 9, find the Braum 2 immediately, going to already preemptively remove her to get the items sorted out. And for our last shot, we just already had this Senna that we had picked up. So going to manage to find a 2-star t-hex here. We have to go for another DB instead of the last whisper, as that completed this dual gauntlet for our Lissandra. Interesting that how he managed to go for that. Longshot emblem should be quite decent on the t-hex, even though his tickle damage, I mean his blast channel damage on the backline units is more of a tickle nowadays. This enables him to still provide a sufficient amount of damage on these backlines. See, there is another t-hex player as well with a Bilgewater line on over there. But they are on t-hex 1, TK1, and we have that front line to support ourselves a little bit more. However, they're still able to t-hex, getting to get a teeth on the Braum, so they're able to get at our t-hex. And however, since we have these extra carries, we have the Lissandra, we have the Seraphine, we're able to close them out. A little bit of worrisome if you're TK, if that was a 2-star TK, there you go. Able to pick up a Centipair, so might be appealing maybe to a little bit even dig here. Or he's counting the matchups. He might be kind of convinced that he's simply able to win. Going for this clump positioning, but thankfully there's no Swain, so managed to do that. But this Warwick could potentially wrap on our backline, and it got redirected by the Braum, it seems. The Braum shield is always able to intercept projectiles, but I didn't know that perhaps there was a 50-50 there that simply Braum would win over there. Even more emblems offered on this carousel. Are we going to go for this Freljord emblem? Yes, we are. So this would now enable us to play for 5 Freljord, as we already completed the Freljord emblem there from the open spatula that we had. And now we should have more of a semblance even in the frontline department. Going to stall for that t-hex, going to stall for our AP carries. We'll recognize that this is the best way we can potentially enable our frontline to become strong. It has turned out in a very heavy emblem game into this Demacia board that we are thankfully not going to have to see as much anymore. And the t-hex is actually putting in quite a lot of power and is able to take it out. Even without the last whisper, we are still able to get through their front line with the burst that we simply have. And going to up aggressively level for level 10 here. What is going to be our next in? I mean, Fiddlesticks is just a flex unit that we can play in. Otherwise, could potentially consider something like another longshot unit. Hey, we have it. T-hex pair, another t-hex, so yeah, why not? We have the extra DB, could just simply toss that on him. I mean, Invoker emblem, well, whatever, it just gives something to him, right? A little bit of an AP scaling, all these champions have it. And we have secured ourselves a top 4 quite decisively, going for this win out with a t-hex, a line that you do not get to see as much anymore. Sometimes for the better. I probably assume we all are tired of when the t-hex was dominant, but now it's quite fun to see the nice spots that we are able to find to where to play it. Going on the level 10 roll down, we're bound to find this t-hex. Going to Stereo's Gauge, make this Stereo's Gauge or QSSS, both items were quite fine in that spot in my opinion. So simply just going to toss the items on the t-hex there. into this extremely strong Jinx player that has made it to level 9 on their own. Their emblem setup simply godly, and also has managed to find that Ziggs too, not going for the reroll, as they simply were able to tempo. That seems to be a lot of play these days, that where sometimes you just don't need to go for that Jinx 3, especially if you're playing from ahead. You can go for level 8 and play around that Warwick, particularly if you obviously have the Gunslinger emblem. That just enables the Warwick immensely for you. I think we transitioned, yeah, the Freljord emblem there to Senna to give a little bit of the damage amp. Believe that this front line that we have in form of the statues and Braum is going to be quite efficient, and yeah, we can see the t-hex doing quite decent damage onto the backlines. Obviously with double t-hex we're able to get them, and we are now top 2 against this Jinx player, and as we saw, we are able to most likely win out for them there. And we have plannered only t-hex, so it looks like we're going to try to capitalize onto this mining drill to go for a t-hex 3. Obviously Robin at this point is not caring too much about his LP. He only cares about worlds, so he's probably trying to provide some entertainment for the chat by trying to find the t-hex 3 if he has the chance. Not sure if holding on to the Volibear then that was the best choice, as obviously I picked it up before, but I believe at some point if you just keep skipping them, they should stop appearing into your shop, signaling in the game that you don't want them. We are on 7 t-hex copies right now, and picked up another item on the carousel for our set, obviously. That's going to be our next unit that we can itemize. Just going for the upfront burst. They have managed to unlock a Silas, but they don't have exactly the AP items that would support this Silas, even if they manage to 2-star it. It's only a TG, and they would have to play around the TG rolls. Still digging at every turn continuously, trying to find any of these t-hex copies. Maybe we do get a golden dupe, the very rare golden dupe on the stage 6 PvE that could bring us a little bit closer. Generally, it's a little bit harder to be hitting these unlock 3 stars. That's due to the hidden calculations that they have went behind. That during the 3-star forecast meta, they were a little bit easier, and they tuned them down since then. Still going to go dig deeply. That generally they're going to try. Okay, we're going to start to just downgrade the board, try to give the chat the t-hex 3 if we potentially can. That's why we're just trying to roll in this turn already. Lots of APM to go through if we are going to go for that play, and let's see if we can manage to get there. Just full selling, not even picking up any 5 costs in a roll down, as we have just simply so much gold to roll through. And we have not seen a single t-hex copy. It seems I did not. There's one. But we are out of gold and we're out of time, and we're going to be losing the round here. But very masterfully played game by Robin here, just simply obviously high rolling the Seraphine enabled us to go for this fast 9 game plan, but still capitalizing on a tempo, realizing that if we are wanting to be playing around potentially an original idea around an AP line, we need to have a tempo and capitalize on our item augment that we have picked up. And then we played constantly to be on tempo, as is in the sense to trying to 3-itemize our carry, not planning for our future too much, just simply playing what gives us the strongest board right away, and we're going to figure it out once we get there. And that enabled us to capitalize on the Seraphine high roll in order to slot in 6 Piltover and go for a true potential win-out play with a t-hex. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.